Chudák, tam je zaseklej. So, milí lidi, dobrý den, přátelé. Máme tady video, na které bych se s váma chtěla podívat. A to video je o žralocích. Wow. Jenom ho musím najít, pardon, já nevím, kam to ho uložila, jako. Test útoku žraloka. Nechám tam angličtinu a... OK, let's go. Yeah, baby! Test útoku žraloka. Podíváme se, jestli ty žraloci sežerou nebo nesežerou.
This is a specialized human-shaped shark cage I designed. And this is me in the middle of a shark feeding frenzy in that cage, which as it happens, doesn't actually keep the sharks out. They're in the freaking cage! But to understand how I ended up in the middle of the...
Jakoby já upřímně, já miluju žraloky, mně se mega líbí tady ty tvorové. Asi bych si někdy v životě chtěla zaplavat se žralokem, ale já bych se bála strašně v té kleci, že by to se mnou... Já jsem totiž viděla jeden film, horor, nevím, jestli to bylo 47 metrů nebo něco takového, a oni v té kleci spadli dolů na zem, jakoby na dno oceánu, nebo jo, oceánu, moře, nevím. Byl to fakt krutý film, jako doporučuji, mega. A já se tohohle hrozně bojím, takže já bych radši bych si zaplavala jako volně se žralokem, s nějakým samozřejmě, co by mě nesežral, než být v té kleci. Jako toho by se mega bála.
Bahamas with buckets of blood surrounded by a butt ton of sharks. We've got to go back exactly 1 year because that's when I ran a test to see what really happens.
To nějaká špatná kvalita lidičky není. To musí mít extrémní kvalitu, ne?
If sharks smell a drop of human blood in the water. For that
Cože, počkej, to bylo human blood? Počkej. Cože? To je lidská krev? Takže oni budou lákat na lidskou krev, to jsou magoři.
Pumped out 15 drops of human blood per minute for an hour, pretty close to a bunch of sharks that in the end just weren't really that interested. So this busted the myth from the movies that sharks are these ruthless killers that just go crazy if they smell a drop of your blood from a mile away. But those results made me really curious if the sharks would react differently to fish blood versus human blood. And if they did go crazy for fish blood, could I use that to put myself right at the center of a shark feeding frenzy? And so to satiate my curiosity...
A to si, že oni tam budou ještě v té kleci prostě.
And so now that I was in the Bahamas, the first thing I did was check in with my marine biologist, shark diving expert buddy Luke Tipple, because we need to figure out how to somehow get blood out of a fish.
Wow. Oh! To je mrtvá rybička, už je vysáže živá.
The first thought is like...
Ne, oni rozmixujou, ale ono se jim to háže rozmixovaný, že jo, vnitřnosti a tak.
Give it a shot, I'll be over here.
Dude, you've clearly never seen Will It Blend. There's a whole YouTube channel dedicated to this. Ready?
Ježiš, tak to nevím, jestli bych tohle zvládla úplně, jako takhle v kuse tu rybu, jako když už je to jako na filety, tak v pohodě to rozmixu, ale takhle.
Okay, I think if we add a little bit of water, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. This looks like the number 32 from Jamba Juice. We tried a variety of other techniques and eventually started hitting our stride and the bucket started filling up.
Oh. To musí... Ježiš, já bych nemohla dělat na jatkách, jako vůbec.
If I couldn't smell this,
wow, to je nějaký červený.
The good thing about Mark is it's his stupid idea, but he's not making other people do it.
I respect that about me too.
Yeah.
To vypadá spíš jak jahodový koktejlíček nějaký, no. Rozmixovaný jahůdky.
I also learned this is what fish gills look like on the inside. They're like pages in a book to increase the surface area, which maximizes the...
Viděli jste někdy to? Žábry, to vypadá hodně krutě, jako. Já jsem myslela, že tam mají jenom jako jedny a ono jich tam mají víc, jakoby, víc za sebou, tak to je hustý.
Oxygen they can pull out of the water. So we've taken about 20 fish with a little bit of help from the blender, turn them into this. If I'm a shark, I'm like...
On se tomu ještě máchá rukama, Ježiši Kriste, tak to je hodně nechutný, jako. No.
Now that we had 5 gallons of mouth-watering fish blood smoothie, it was time to get some answers. We already know that sharks don't necessarily go nuts in the presence of a little bit of human blood, but would they go nuts in the presence of a little bit of fish
Takhle
blood?
to mají
And as a firm
vymyšlený.
believer
Oni
in
to
the
budou dávkovat na každém tom paddleboardu, nebo se to mají na každém tom jako zvlášť a oni budou jako koukat, na jakou stranu ty žraloci vlastně, co je bude víc lákat, jestli ta lidská krev, anebo ta rybí krev.
scientific method, it was time to test our hypothesis by heading out to sea. Once we were far enough from land, Luke and I came up with the game plan for the experiment. Basically, we would have 2 surfboards in the water. One would have a 5-gallon bucket of our fish blood smoothie, and then another would have 5 gallons of human blood. We would also have a third board that just had seawater as a control to make sure the
A teď počkat, čí ta lidská krev je jakoby jeho, že se nechal odsávat dobrovolně, a nebo to je jako vlastně kde jí vzal jako tu lidskou krev, to si jako koupil prostě do nemocnice, prosím vás, dejte mi 15 litrů lidské krve, potřebuju na vědecký výzkumy? To asi ne, jako. Nebo se napíchl doma a překapával si tam každý den půl litr svý krve?
sharks weren't just interested in the surfboards. Then we would pump out the contents of each of the buckets over the course of an hour and observe how many sharks approached each board. Then once we know which one they prefer after this, we'll use that tomorrow in the cage just to create the most wild feeding frenzy, right?
Which sounds super fun to me.
Podle mě více rybí. Filmy to mají vždy špatně ohledně žraloků, že jsou to krvelační bestie. Uvidíme.
Because you're not in the cage. And so with the plan in place, all that was left to do was put the boards together and get them out with the sharks.
To jsou šikovní kluci.
One of the limitations to last year's test was that the boards might have been too close to the boat. So it's possible some of the sharks actually smelled the blood but didn't investigate it because they were just waiting for a handout from the boat. So this time we basically placed the boards in the middle of the freaking ocean, super far away from the boat so it wouldn't be a confounding variable. Oh, and I should also mention we ended up using cow's blood because it's really hard to legally find 5 gallons of human blood. And
Já jsem to říkala. Takže oni použili kravskou krev.
after talking with a couple shark scientists, they've shown experimentally that all mammal blood essentially smells the same to sharks. So it wouldn't affect the results to use cow blood in place of human blood. So now that all 3 boards were in place...
Jako jak by sehnali tu lidskou krev, jako legálně prostě. Museli jako zabít. Však turistů je tam dost, no.
We double-checked to ensure each was anchored down to the ocean floor. Then I just had to start all 3 custom-built pumps using our custom-built remote trigger, which is the exact moment I realized it must have got busted while being shipped out here because it wasn't sending a signal, which sucks because there's absolutely no way to run the pumps manually. Luckily, a trick I learned while working at NASA is you always build redundancy into your systems, just in case. So we have it in the code that if no remote start signal is received after an hour, each of the pumps will just automatically start up on their own. It's just a feature we never had time to test, so we just had to firmly cross our fingers and hope for the best. I'm hopeful. We've had to overcome a lot to get here for this video. What's one more little... Right on cue, the backup code kicked in and saved our whole experiment. With blood now officially in the water, we put the drone into the air and started our observations. And things were pretty quiet for about the first 20 minutes, but then we had our first hit on the mammal blood board. Shark?
Yeah.
Shark, baby!
To jsou jaký malinkatý žraločci, ale.
Pretty soon thereafter, things started heating up for the fish blood smoothie board.
Oh my gosh. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Takže na tu rybí
sharks
jdou víc
around the
teďko
fish
momentálně.
smoothie
And then 10 minutes later, things were only more intense.
Wow.
Here you can see the difference in activity between the three boards. And while you're running an experiment and still collecting data, you really need to keep an open mind. But given what we were seeing, it was getting pretty difficult to remain objective. And so after an hour, we called the experiment and went inside to officially tally up the results using the drone footage. And it turns out the mammal blood board was approached 8 times, the seawater control board was at 0, and the fish blood board had a whopping 130.
Tolik? Já jsem myslela, že tam bude třeba 20. Ty kráso, 134 žraloků tam bylo, jo.
134 approaches from a shark.
It definitely seems like this fish smoothie's where it's at, right?
It's pretty obvious. Massive blob of sharks, no sharks.
I think that's the go for tomorrow for maximum feeding frenzy.
Now that we had a game plan for my feeding frenzy cage the next day, we headed back to shore and to our hotel to get some rest for what was to come. Oh, and fun side note, if the only way to get to a vacation destination is by private jet, it really cuts down on the crowds.
Jo, to
We
nikdo
literally
není.
had this whole resort to ourselves.
No, vidíte, co dokáže prostě covid, víš co? Se nedivím, že tolik podniků jako zkrachovalo, no.
Well, almost to ourselves. There were like 40 cats who apparently must
Jo,
also fly private.
miminka.
We woke up bright and early the next morning feeling refreshed and headed right back out to sea, where Luke and I prepared some massive bags of fish blood smoothie for me to burst open once I went down.
It just seemed like a cool idea to make a cage to get in the middle of a feeding frenzy until this moment. Now that they're making me put on freaking chainmail.
Co to mají? Řetězový nějaký věci? To je asi fakt jako kdyby je kousli, tak aby to neprokousli, nebo co to je?
Makes me reconsider my life choices. If something terrible happens, Shaq, you gotta take care of my family because this is all your fault. Yeah, let's go.
And after several months of prep, unfortunately, it was time for me to get in.
Já bych se mega bála prostě, to radši bez té klece.
It also just so happens I might have forgot to mention this part to my wife.
I'm not looking under the water yet on purpose.
Wow.
She might have been under the impression I was just doing another experiment with surfboards and pumps. Sorry, sweetie. Not only was I wearing 10 pounds of steel chainmail for protection, but my vest is also filled with 20 pounds of lead weights. That means I sank pretty fast, but also that the buoyancy to weight ratios were perfect for giving me practice for walking on the moon.
Ježiš, tak to je hustý.
Because like many of you, I will definitely go to space in my lifetime. Again, just haven't mentioned that to the wife yet.
Super Mario and Josh, here we go.
Moment, co tohle je za kles? Takovou klec jsem teda ještě neviděla, ta je tak ta je hodně nepříjemná teda, není sympatická vůbec.
All right, you ready for the tip? Okay, Mark, the base is coming behind you right now.
Now that I had the fish smoothie bags and everyone was back at a safe distance, I just had to pop these stupid things.
Wow, no tak tohle je dost napínavý, jako.
Okay. There we go.
A oni tam vlastně... Wow, počkej. Co se stane?
Okay, the base is deployed.
Já bych se strašně bála, že normálně jakoby tam nějak prostě, jak tam máš ty mezery, takže prostě do těch mezer se nějak dostane nějaká malá hlava toho žraloka a že mě prostě ukousne ruku, jako. Wow. Nic nevidí, chudák.
And here they go.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Jak mu to jde těma šábrama, vidíte to? No, viděli jste to, jak se to pohnulo? Tak tohle bych se strašně bála, že by se rozpadla takhle, protože oni mají strašnou sílu, že jo? A on tam má docela velký, jako velký ty díry mezi mřížema.
Oh, now they're literally like swimming circles around me. Oh gosh.
Postrala by se.
It's in the cage.
Oh, chudák, on tam je zaseklej.
Honestly insane. Oh.
The sharks were literally trying to eat me through the bottom of the cage, so they left me no choice but to defend my honor.
Yeah, get out of my cage. Get out of my cage.
Ty vole, teď tam můžou proplout, ne?
I'm gonna kill you, Shaq. Get the heck out. Hey. Oh.
Wow.
Yo, bro, get out of my cage, alright?
On do nich ještě kope.
We knew all along that the most dangerous part would be when I exited the cage, because they'd still be agitated and they'd be stoked to finally have access to the soft, chewy center.
Okay, the float kind of dissipated, the sharks have gone a little bit. Okay, we're pulling the bait away, mate.
So the plan was for one of the other divers to distract them way off to the side with the bait box, and then I would get out as silently as possible so they wouldn't notice me.
To je strašně nebezpečný. A ono jich je tam strašně moc, těch žraloků. Ty voky. Jako my mám strach docela, co se bude dít.
Yeah, that's that, right? It's shark. Okay, Bob. Go ahead, open the door.
A to je takhle snadno otevřít. Jo, počkej, ne, oni to budou mít asi na dálkový ovládání nějaký, ne? Postrala bych se. Postrala bych se.
Oh, crap.
On nemůže vyplavat.
That was loud. Holy crap. I've got to close this back up.
Zavři to, zavři to. No. Wow.
Oh, jeez. Luke, I need help, man. Holy crap. Jeez. Hey, you're off, mate. These sharks aren't going away. I want to get you back to the surface.
Nehejbej se.
Top side, we're on our way out. I think someone should tell
On nemá
Shaq he can do his
ploutve.
own stunts from now on. I'm alive.
Ty vogy, tak normálně mě se zastavilo srdce, jako.
The main takeaway for me for this experience is that sharks have been on this planet longer than the dinosaurs or even trees have. So they've had 400 million years of evolution to develop these instincts that are rewarded for smelling fish blood. Humans and cows would be an extremely rare delicacy, so it makes sense that it's not just hardwired into their brains. And so with all my limbs intact and with my curiosity fully satiated, I will leave you with these profound words that in my defense might have been the Dramamine speaking.
As humans, we're always the predator and not really ever the prey. But this gave me a sense of what it's like to be a tuna fish.
Jako hustý. Hustý, ty vole, jako frajer.